Ahoy!
Welcome to episode 19 of Bottom of the Stream. We're flying through these.
I'm Nick.
I am Adam.
And here we are again.
Yeah, we're back on the stream boat. Back in the room where we record podcasts. We need to name this room.
Ready to set sail.
Ready to set sail. I suppose a stream boat is as good a name as any. Podcast boat. Yeah. So I'll get the socials done first to get them out of the way. So please follow us on Facebook. Facebook.com/bottom of the stream. Twitter is BOTS_podcast, as is Instagram. Email address bottomofthestream@gmail.com, and the website is bottomofthestream.podbean.com, where you will find every episode we've ever made and the stream table as it currently stands.
Yeah, as always, any feedback, queries, questions, recommendations, just want to chat.
Praise.
Criticism.
No, don't send any criticism. I'm deleting it. No, just seriously, anything you want to talk to us about, we're always free for a chat. We like talking about films. We like talking about this podcast. So just chat to us.
Send it our way.
Send it our way. Don't be scared. We're not celebrities.
We're definitely not.
Just a couple of nerds talking about films.
Yeah. So this week, before we talk about this film,
yeah,
I've got something I wanted to bring to your attention.
Okay.
What is your biggest fear?
Birds.
Birds.
I'm terrified of birds.
Yeah.
This is not a secret. Everybody around me knows this.
So
I cannot be around a bird, especially a bird in a building.
Right. Yeah. So a few months ago, you got one stuck in your
chimney. Oh my God, it was my worst experience of my life. I had to sleep in the house knowing that bird was in the chimney and alive.
And it was eventually rescued.
It was rescued and released it lost a few feathers, but it was out of the house.
But you literally wouldn't go in your living room, would you?
No, I wasn't even in the house when they got it. And my dad and my friend had to get it out. Where is this going? You've got a bird under there.
No, I haven't got I haven't got a bird. I haven't brought that pigeon back to sort of meet you. Is it any birds?
Yeah,
specific...
pretty much any birds.
Okay. Right.
Just terrified of them.
I think I found something that might help you.
Okay.
A website.
Right.
Now, you've heard of the Internet Movie Database.
I have.
Obviously.
It's a very well used resource on this podcast.
What? Did you know that there is such a thing as the Pigeon Movie Database?
No.
Right.
Well, I did not know this. What are you talking about?
Pigeon Movie Database.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
Is it a database of pigeon movies?
It's a film visual index of where pigeons are in films and TV series. Right. So you can pre-look for films.
And see if there's any pigeons in them.
If you wanted to, you could avoid all films with pigeons in. It's obviously it's a work in progress.
Yeah, obviously.
But
I like the idea.
It's there, and you can.
Oh, there's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, you can go check it out. Pigeonmoviedatabase.com.
So, I like that. Matrix, are there pigeons?
So I've got the Matrix page up in front of me.
Okay.
And they.
There's no pigeons in the Matrix, is there?
Yeah, there is.
Is there?
I mean, there's a whole bit on here about whether they're artificial pigeons or real pigeons because they're in the Matrix.
I'm definitely checking this website out.
This is actually probably one of the longest entries. But basically, on each movie, you've got details of the pigeon, right? So you get a timestamp for when the pigeon's in the movie.
Okay.
Pigeon activity, so what they're actually doing. So for the Matrix, common pigeons flying through the square as part of a recreation in the Matrix.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Symbolism, so are these pigeons symbolic of anything? Are they relevant or important to the plot?
Okay.
And then what's the training level of the pigeon? So
this is going to come in really helpful.
So it's like, is it just a pigeon that just happened to be in the shot?
Or is it meant to
or
be?
Is it an actor?
Is it an actor pigeon?
Yeah, is it an animal actor? So training level of pigeons in the Matrix. Average, they fly away in a realistic way, but they have little presence given that some of the time they are frozen. Okay. Because the Matrix glitches and they're stuck. So that's just for that.
That's really helpful.
Go and check it out. I mean,
will do.
There's a whole page for Valiant, which is a pigeon movie. Wow. So that's probably going to be like Pigeon Street. Remember that show?
I do. I used to love Pigeon Street. I don't think that's where my fear comes from.
So, yeah, check it out.
I will do. I've recently been on holiday and we were in Greece, and there's a place in Athens where you go to watch the guards being changed.
Right.
And we walked for what felt like miles to see this display in 45-degree heat. It was hot. It was really hot. Athens is always hot anyway. And we got there and there was this family who decided they were going to feed the pigeons in the entranceway of this place.
Okay.
And there must have been 200 pigeons. I did not see these guards getting changed. So I walked all the way up there.
To see some pigeons.
If you're in a square somewhere and you're feeding pigeons, what are you doing with your life? Because you would not do... If they were rats, you would not do that.
That's true.
Pigeons are just rats with wings. So just don't do it.
Or eating one.
A pigeon? No.
Yeah. I love pigeon.
I don't think so.
Nice. Oh.
But yeah,
that's more like wood pigeon though. It's not like you don't. I mean, I've not just like picked a pigeon up and
just bit into it.
Ozzy Osbourne it.
I missed these. I did see it eventually, but I had to walk the long way around to get in.
Okay.
And up some stairs, which I didn't want to do. I could not have walked through that where those people were feeding that pigeons. No.
Okay.
But you've revealed my weakness now on this podcast, so I'm coming for you next
Have you ever watched The Birds?
Yeah, it was one of my favourite films.
Yeah, okay.
Because they can't get me.
I don't think that's on the pigeon movie database yet. Maybe soon.
I don't think there's any... Is there any pigeons in The Birds?
I don't know. Look, it's been years
more like
since
crows and ravens and stuff. Anyway, that was I like that. Thank you. I would definitely use that website going forward.
Anyway,
we should probably we've sidetracked ourselves for 5 minutes there. Shall we start talking about the film that we've watched this week?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So, what is this film that we have watched this week?
So this week we've watched a film from 2016.
Yeah.
A Netflix original.
Yes.
It's a horror film.
It is a horror film.
Aptly, through my research, I've found out that it was released on Halloween.
Around Halloween, it was October 2016. Yeah, it was
2016.
Yes.
And it is called I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House.
It is.
I am the grown man who thinks this is a shit title for a film.
It is not a great title for a film, is it? I mean, whoever thought of making a film with a sentence for a title?
I don't know.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's a Netflix original. It's a really early Netflix original.
Yeah.
So Netflix really started making originals in around July 2016. There were a few before that, but originals really kicked into gear in July 2016. So
this is nothing like ramping up to the sort of, was it 80 in 2000 and last year?
Yeah, I think so.
Or something
This is early doors. It's one of the very first Netflix originals. It's 15, currently rated at 4.6 on IMDb.
Okay.
And is on for an hour and 29 minutes. Stars Ruth Wilson as Lily, Paula Prentice as Iris, Lily Boynton as Polly, and Bob Balaban as Mr. Waxcap.
I said this last week. I really like saying Bob Balaban.
Bob Balaban. Yeah, he plays Mr. Waxcap.
He's a. I couldn't tell you what I've seen in him before, but I know I've seen him.
Yeah, he's in loads of stuff.
He is one of those faces.
He's one of those guys that just turns up in everything.
And Ruth Wilson is pretty famous in the UK, isn't she?
Is she?
Yeah, she's in Luther.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
And she's always popping up on dramas and BBC.
I don't watch a lot of British stuff. So, but I did recognise the face, and it probably was from Luther then, if that's what she was in. I didn't do a lot of research on the actresses and actors in this film because I did quite a bit of research on the director.
Okay.
Because he's a fascinating chap.
Right.
His name is Oz Perkins.
Right.
Perkins is quite a famous name in film. Do you know who his father is?
Are you going to tell me his father's Anthony Perkins?
I'm going to tell you his father is Anthony Perkins.
Oh, that is impressive. So horror pedigree.
Yeah, he played Norman Bates in Psycho. Here's a fact for you. Psycho is about to come onto Netflix.
Oh, is it?
Yes, in August of this year.
The original?
Yeah, 1960 Psycho will appear on Netflix. So there's a little... Definitely go and watch that. It's one of the best films ever made. I've also got another fact about him.
Yeah.
His mother was killed on 9/11. She was in one of the planes that hit the World Trade Center.
Really?
Yes.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I've got one fact.
Go on.
Have you got any more?
Yes. I've got one more. No, you do yours because I think it's probably going to be the same.
Oh, it might be. So, not only is he Anthony Perkins' son, but he was in Psycho 2.
He was. Yes, that was the other fact I had.
And he played Norman Bates.
He did. He played young Norman Bates in Psycho 2.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I love when things tie together.
Yeah, and like I say, Psycho's about to appear on Netflix.
And now he's directing horror films.
No, he is, yeah.
So this was Oz's second movie.
Yes.
And I think he's done one since. I don't have the names in front of me, but they're all horror films.
Yeah. He seems to be found his niche. So yeah, I thought it was. I've never heard of him before, and I thought it was quite an interesting bit of research. I enjoyed researching Oz Perkins.
Yeah, it's cool when it was just a cool fact to find out. Yeah.
So the film, did you notice the very first thing in the film? So there's a dedication card comes up at the beginning of the film.
Yes.
And it says, "For AP, who gave me an old house."
I did read it. Well, no, I didn't.
That's presumably got to be Anthony Perkins.
Yeah.
And the old house is that house from Psycho,
Yeah.
I would imagine. Yeah, so, that's how the film starts. And then the film starts.
Yeah.
It does. Do you want to talk about how the film starts? Because it's fucking weird.
A really long voiceover.
Really long voice.
It's like 7 minutes.
Yeah, she talks for a long time.
And it's sort of interspersed with just darkness, blurry images, out of focus, shapes.
Yeah, female shapes.
Basically the voiceover, the gist of it is that if someone has died in a house, it's essentially...
The living can never own a house that someone has died in because you're always borrowing it from the ghost. Yeah. That's the gist of what she says. My line of the film actually comes during this monologue.
Okay.
It's really early on. But she says, 3 days ago I turned 28. I will never turn 29.
I wrote that down.
I've got a real thing for foreshadowing.
Yeah.
And Stephen King does it a lot in his books. He'll say, this character's going to die. It's basically what he says, and then you have to read the book to find out what happens. And I've got a real thing for it. I really like when things...
No, I like that as well. And especially when they're not... Because they're not looking to pull the rug out from under you.
No, they tell you in the first few minutes of this film...
confident enough in the story that...
You know in the first few minutes of this film that this woman is going to die in this film.
Yeah.
They tell you that. Like you say, in the first 7 minutes of this film.
I mean, it's good that you thought that was... Oh, that is a good line. Do you know... I also wrote that line down.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Why?
So she does say... I'm 28, but I won't live to 29.
Yeah.
It just made me think of Gangster's Paradise by Coolio. Because he says, I'm 23 now, but will I live to see 24?
Yeah, you're right,
don't know. So I was thinking of Coolio for at least 5 minutes after that.
That had to be my line of the film because there's literally no dialogue in this film.
There's not a lot of dialogue.
There's no dialogue in this film. It's incredibly slow and incredibly... I don't know the word. What's the word when there's no talking in it? Quiet.
Atmospheric.
It's very atmospheric.
If you were going to ask me for a one-word review...
Which I am going to do now.
Okay.
What is your one-word review of I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House?
I think I will say mouldy.
Mouldy, yes. It's rotten.
Rotten's better, actually. Rotten. Yeah, that's better.
But that makes it sound like it's a bad film, and I'm not going there yet.
Yeah, and I don't mean that.
You don't mean it's a rotten film.
I don't mean it's a rotten film. Well,
you'll
see what I
you'll
think
see
about
why
it.
mold and rot come into it a lot. It spends a lot of time at the beginning of this film with long, lingering shots, slow building atmosphere, really intense just shots of this house. They really want to build this house as a character in this film. And
let's go there straight away then.
Let's do it.
So before we even get to sort of who people are and basic premise, let's go straight away with the house as a character, because this instantly made me think of our very first episode.
The open house.
The open house.
Yeah.
Where they also tried to make the house a character.
Yes.
And completely failed.
Yes, they did.
I thought this film did a really good job.
There's not many people in this film,
no.
But the house is definitely a character in this film.
And yes, there were a lot of lingering, slow shots.
A lot. Especially at the beginning.
But it earned its stripes because every creak of a floorboard or rattle of a window, it added to the atmosphere. You know, do you know what also I think helped? So a lot of this is set during the summer where it's really hot.
Yeah.
At the minute, it is absolutely baking here.
It really is.
And I watched this in a really hot hotel room because I was away for work, and it just all added to the atmosphere. Yeah. And I think they did really well getting this house across as an ominous thing.
Yeah. That
had sort of a hold over these people.
Yeah.
And it did everything right that the open house just didn't do.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you look at this film realistically, there's only one person in it. There are other people in it, but the woman who plays Lily, I've forgotten her name already.
Ruth Wilson.
carries this film completely. She's literally the only character in it.
She's probably got
90%.
98% of the dialogue.
Yeah, definitely. There's not a lot more dialogue in it.
And she's in almost every scene.
Yeah, she carries it completely. And
apart from a few flashback scenes, she's in it all the way through.
Yeah, so this monologue she does at the beginning is introducing her character as a end-of-life nurse.
Yeah, hospice nurse.
Hospice nurse is what she is. The house is owned by an author, a lady author. You can't call them authors anymore.
No, that's just an author.
Yeah, she's just an author. She's a lady who writes books, who is coming towards the end of her lifetime on Earth.
Yeah.
And needs full-time living care.
Yeah.
And that's what Lily does. She is a full-time living nurse.
Iris Blum.
The
author.
Yes.
Miss Blum.
She writes what you would call airport novels, I guess. Just cheap throwaway books that people read on beaches.
Yeah, but creepy ones.
Creepy, yeah.
Right, so we're not talking like Mills and Boone.
No, we're talking...
he threw her over his shoulder and took her up to...
Yeah, horror novellas.
Yeah.
Small, short, paperback horror books is what she writes. Or wrote when she was younger.
I think, certainly the feeling I took from it is that she was pretty well known in her day,
she'd written a lot of books.
Successful, it's
the
a big house.
Full of books, wasn't it? So yeah, and Lily moves in with her. She doesn't speak. She's completely out of it.
Yeah.
So Lily's basically living in this house on her own. A house that she doesn't know. She's not aware of. She just lives there with this old lady. On her first night there, she makes a phone call.
Yeah.
Completely took me out of the moment where she called somebody a spaz. And she also called somebody a slut. But it never mentioned who she was talking to.
I presume it was I've just put friends or family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, she was...
It was completely out of context for the whole film. It was those two words
there was another...
jarring.
I think... I've not gone back and timed it. I think it was a good just 2 minutes of her
just talking on the phone.
So we just get a one-sided conversation, half of a conversation.
Yeah.
And all the time, again, we're in a dark house.
Did you notice the upside-down chair that was mounted on the wall?
No, I didn't.
It was really weird.
No, I didn't spot that.
Behind where she was talking, there was a chair that was mounted on the wall upside down. And I originally thought, that chair's on the ceiling.
Oh, right.
But it wasn't. But it wasn't.
So was it really there, or was it supposed to be part of
That's what I thought. Thing? I thought originally she's going to notice that chair in a minute and freak the fuck out. But she never did. And you see it a few times during the film, so I think it just lives on the wall.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't spot that. That's interesting. So at first I thought, because part of this conversation she was having on the phone, she sort of referenced, it's good to be out here, a bit of time to myself, and to sort of get back to me. And I was like, oh, well, this is going to be a thing of this character. Something's happened to her. Yeah. And that's why she's here. But it was then, whether it was cut or, there was a rewrite or something, that never came up again.
No, you're right, it didn't.
Of whatever this character's history was. And
I think that's the theme that I'm going to take from this film, is that I really wanted more from it. There's a really good story here, and there's not enough explanation, and there's not enough grit to it for me. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, we've just had an 8-minute monologue where nothing was really said.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
no, that's a fair point.
During the phone call, she keeps hearing thudding noises.
Yeah.
And the house noises, but regular thudding. And as she's talking, the phone cable is getting, because it's one of those long American phone cables.
Yeah, it's not a mobile phone.
It's a landline phone, and
phone's on the wall.
Cable's 15, 20 foot long.
Yeah.
And it's gradually getting more and more taut.
Yeah.
But she doesn't notice, because obviously it's happening behind her. But we can see it happening. And there's that foreboding of, shit, something's going to happen here. And then suddenly the phone is yanked from her hand as she's mid-conversation and just hits the floor.
Yeah. And that's the first scare in the film.
That's the first scare of the film, yeah. And there wasn't a lot to it. It was really simple, but it worked, I thought. You see that point as well, you see a ghostly character walking backwards towards the camera before the camera cuts away. Mm. And so that's your first real view of the ghost that potentially lives in this house. So you get the real impression now that she's really uncomfortable in this place.
Yeah. I think it's worth pointing out at this point, and it becomes clearer over the film, that the character of Lily is very weak.
Yeah, she's a meek little lady.
She is
timid.
She's easily scared.
Yeah.
She doesn't dare pick up or
she won't even read
the books.
Yeah, she's probably not cut out for living in a haunted. Definitely not.
Well, I think I've written that in a bit. So why the hell would she take this job?
Yeah.
It's just something else that didn't quite... It took me out of it a bit, because I just felt... If she's as meek as this, there is no way she would be doing this job in this house.
I got the impression the house wasn't like in the middle of nowhere.
Not necessarily. You don't know, do you?
You don't know, but I got the impression that it was she wasn't expecting the house to be what it was. She finds a TV, because she's been told that there isn't any TVs in the house.
Yeah, so she finds her way into Miss Blum's study.
Yeah, where all her books are kept, and there is a TV in there, but she can't make it work. She's trying her best to make it work, can't make it work, and then she turns around, and Miss Blum, Iris, is standing in the doorway.
Yeah, so that's another jump scare.
I don't know if it was meant as a jump scare for us, but it was certainly a jump scare for her.
I jumped.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
I think it was the only time I did in the film.
Okay. I jumped more at the phone and I knew that was coming. Then, all the while, Lily's narrating this film as well.
Yeah.
She's talking all the way through it.
Yeah, she does the voiceover all the way through.
Yeah, so we get that monologue at the beginning, but she's also narrating it, and she's talking at this point as well, and she mentions that 11 months pass.
Yeah, I've written the line down, actually.
Okay.
She says, time passes in a house with a death in it more quickly. 11 months has passed like the night.
Yeah, so instead of just doing, which I really hate, of the card of 11 months later, they do a nice little line. I like that line. But I think I mentioned a few weeks ago, I really hate when it says like 3 weeks later in a film. So it was nice that they didn't do that.
I think is she putting some flowers in a vase or something, and she hears some voices?
Yeah, that happens.
I think that's the next thing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like after the 11-month.
Yeah. Line. She's sorting something out in the kitchen, isn't she? And Mr. Waxcap turns up.
Yeah, so this is Bob Balaban.
Bob Balaban.
And
Mr. Waxcap is a great
Mr. Waxcap is a great character.
He's a great character.
So he's basically the estate manager, isn't he?
Yeah, he's managing Iris Blum's estate.
Yeah.
Well, you get that impression. I presume it's never mentioned, but that's definitely what he's doing. So and she shows him some mould that's appeared on the wall, which presumably has appeared over these 11 months. And she tells him about the knocking sound that appears to be coming from the same place. And he basically tells her to get a man in. Yeah,
he says, the estate will only spend minimal amount of money.
Nothing on cosmetics, he says.
Yeah.
He says no cosmetic repairs.
Whilst Iris is still alive, basically.
Right, yeah. And after Iris's death, the house is to be left to a female author.
Yeah.
Because
she wants it to be a writing school kind of thing. So he hands her a card of a handyman.
Yeah.
Basically, to give a call.
Yeah, to try and get it sorted out. All the way through this as well, Iris isn't calling Lily Lily. She calls Lily Polly. Oh. That was a bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, she calls her Polly all the way through the film.
Yeah.
She doesn't say a lot.
No, she says it like twice by this point. Well, maybe only once, but I don't know.
And Lily asks Mr. Waxcap about Polly, who Polly was. Was it a daughter? Was it sister? Something like that. And he doesn't really know, but he does know that one of the characters in one of her books is called Polly.
Yeah.
And
what's the book called?
The Lady in the Walls.
Yeah.
And it is her most successful book.
He even says it's a good book, but if you don't want to read it, there's a crap movie.
Yes, he does. So she decides she's going to read the book.
Yeah.
Even though she doesn't want to read the book, and she's terrified of anything even remotely scary, she decides she's going to read the book. So she does. She takes it off the shelf and she reads the first few pages.
Yeah, and the book... Is it the book or is this somewhere else? I've got it here and I'm struggling to put it together. I don't know if this is a line in the book or if it came out when he was talking to her. That the house was built by a local builder.
Yeah, I think he was telling her about the actual house. I think. But I think there's a mirror between the book and the house. The book, The Lady in the Walls, is written about the house that she's currently living in. So it's probably the same story in both.
So yeah, a local builder built this house. For his wife. They got married.
Yeah.
And they were never seen again.
Yeah. Basically. They disappeared on their wedding day.
Yeah.
Is what he says. A little bit later on, after she's been reading the book, she's doing something in the kitchen. Is she washing something? And she notices that her hands and her arms have started to swell up.
Yeah.
And go black.
Million fake arms.
Million fake mouldy arms.
Yeah.
So yeah, her arms have basically decided they're going to go mouldy and start swelling and going black. And she freaks out. She looks away, and when she looks back, they've gone back to normal.
Yeah.
So it's all in her head.
Yeah.
We think. We're finding this quite difficult to talk to because it jumps around a lot and it is really slow. Because when she's reading the book, the film becomes the book.
Correct.
Yeah? So as she's reading about this character Polly, you're seeing Polly in the house being Polly. Yeah?
Yeah, but you only really see one bit. Because she reads out again. She gets into bed, she starts reading the book, and she reads maybe the first couple of sentences.
Yeah.
And then anytime it flashes back, all we see is this one bit, which is Polly walking around, playing sort of blind man's bluff. That, or you think she, a sort of parlour game.
She's
got
walking around blindfolded herself, yeah.
And sort of looking for...
And there's a man following her.
Yeah.
You see that a lot, and I don't want to say it's obvious what's coming, but it isn't not obvious.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, she's walking around this house blindfolded, and there's a man following her.
And then we get a bit which kind of, it does jump around, because it then cuts to a younger version of Miss Blum writing the book.
Yeah.
But she's not writing the text in the book. It sounds like she's almost writing the foreword or the acknowledgements, because she's
writing about what the book is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's on a typewriter saying that the whole story is true, Polly was a real person, and that Polly told her the story.
Yeah.
But she's left the ending out of respect for the dead.
Yeah. So this is a story within a story within a story.
Yeah.
It's Lily's story and Iris's story of Polly.
Yeah.
It's Lily reading Iris's story of Polly. It's confusing, but also it handles it quite well. You always know where you are.
Yeah.
It's just difficult for us to talk about where we are. As she's reading, at one point she hears the thudding noise again, because she's just hearing that a lot in the house, but it's just house noises, she thinks. She tries to get the TV working again as well.
Yeah.
And she sees a reflection behind her.
Yeah, so in the TV, she's a reflection of the girl standing behind her. Behind Lily.
Yeah.
That was creepy.
I didn't like that. The mould in the house is getting worse, so she eventually does call the man. And
so she starts to hear whispers. Did you pick up what they were?
I didn't hear what they were saying.
So they say, I didn't pick up with the voices she heard earlier on, but at this point it definitely said, "This is how you rot."
Ooh, nasty. Yeah, so because the house is rotting away, there's this mouldy wall.
Yeah.
And so she calls the man.
He can't come straight away. No. So they arrange for like a few days.
A few days later.
A few days time, don't they?
Yeah, and is this the point where she finds that box?
Yes.
Yes, so she finds a box.
Well, I think the reason she goes scrabbling around the house more is because, and again, you only hear her side of the conversation, is that the handyman has said, can you have a look and see if there's any more patches of this mould around the house?
Yeah, so she goes searching through cupboards and rooms and things. So she finds a box in a cupboard.
Yeah.
With Polly written on it.
Yes.
That's all mouldy as well.
Yeah.
And inside she finds some handwritten pages, which I presumed was the original manuscript for the book.
I think so.
That's what I understood.
But I didn't really get that, because all the flashbacks we'd seen Miss Blum using a typewriter.
Yeah.
And then we've suddenly got pages.
The only other thing I thought is this the ending that she doesn't put in the book? Because this is the point.
Could be.
This is the point where you find out the ending, I think. Yeah, it is.
She says.
I think it is. I think now I'm thinking about it.
That would make sense. Because
Lily Blum says earlier in the film that there isn't an ending to this book, because out of respect for Polly, she doesn't want to give the ending to the book. But so maybe because this is where you find out what happens to Polly.
Yeah.
So maybe that is the ending to the book.
That would make sense, actually. Yeah.
I'm going with that. Because at this point we cut back to Polly in her blindfold, and she's standing at the wall in the house, at the wall that is now mouldy in Lily's world, and she takes off her blindfold.
What, she cuts her finger?
She does, because there's a hole in this wall, isn't it?
Yeah, the wooden panels have been removed.
Yeah. So as she's walking around the wall, touching the walls, she cuts her finger off. She doesn't cut her finger off. It's just a really small nick. That's me being dramatic.
I'm average size.
You're not, you're quite small.
Okay.
Oh, you throw me now. Yeah, so she cuts her finger, and so she's like, well, why have I cut my finger here? So she takes her blindfold off, and there's the wooden panelling's been taken off the wall at that point. And the man who was following her around whacks her on the head with an hammer.
Yeah.
Kills her.
Messy.
And
basically, we're then, obviously, you join the dots and he seals her up in the wall.
Hence the lady in the wall.
Yeah. Back to the present. And Lily is combing Miss Blum's hair.
Yes. And she tells her that she's been reading the book, but she finds it too scary.
Yeah, and Miss Blum is still calling her Polly.
Yes. Because Iris says to her that Polly lived with her for years, but one day she ran out of things to say and left.
Yeah, and quite creepily, Miss Blum says, "Where did you go, Polly? You used to come into our room, but you were back to front."
Yeah, she says you turned your back so many times that one day your feet were on back to front.
Yeah.
Which was like, wow, that's freaky.
And then it cuts again to I presume later that evening, but it could be a couple of nights later. I don't suppose it really matters. Don't know how it's happened, but
The TV's working.
Lily's got the TV working.
She's got a VCR plugged into the TV.
Yeah.
So they're watching a film. Do you notice who was in the film?
Was it Anthony Perkins?
It was Anthony Perkins. The film was called Friendly Persuasion.
Okay.
And it was Anthony Perkins was shown in the film. So I thought that was a nice little touch.
And this is a bit I didn't pick up, but the ghost whispers something to Miss Plum.
Okay.
But I don't know what.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if you were meant to hear it.
I didn't catch any of the whispers.
Or if it was deliberately inaudible.
Okay. There's a runner-up in my line of the film at this point as well. So I was going to have it, but I really like the foreshadowing of the first bit. So Lily says in one of the voiceovers that she's doing, "It is a terrible thing to look at oneself and all the while see nothing."
Okay.
I like that. I thought that was nice.
And that's the sort of dialogue that's all the way through.
All the way through, yeah. It's almost poetic. It's like a poem, isn't it?
Yeah, it is throwing absolutely everything at being a modern day gothic.
Yeah,
from the atmosphere to the language to the way it's written.
There's a real thing these days.
The lingeringness of everything. It's, it really reminded me of some of the gothic horror stuff that I did at university, studied at university, like literature wise. You're right, some of it is written like sort of poetry.
Yeah. It's the new modern thing on horror films, isn't it? To be as slow as you can be and to be lingering and atmospheric. And sometimes it works, sometimes it nearly works, and sometimes it doesn't work. This is where we're coming towards the end of the film now, so we know things are going to start escalating.
So the knocking and the banging and the stuff like that happens more often, it's louder.
So, and Lily walks downstairs and notices that the wall's been opened up.
Yeah, so she's woken up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
By the knocking and banging.
Yeah. So she goes down to investigate.
Okay, she comes downstairs. So she comes down. I'm about to talk about how an imaginary house is laid out, but she comes.
It wasn't imaginary. It was real.
She comes down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then she turns away from the stairs. She goes through a door, and it's basically a circle, isn't it? You can walk all the way around the so it goes into the living room, into the kitchen.
So the part where she's seeing the mod is at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's important because she's walking round in this circle at the bottom of the house, unbeknownst to her, she's being followed by Polly, who is a back to front ghost. So she is walking. I'll get this right around. Yeah, she's walking forward, and her feet are.
Her back is facing. Her feet are on the wrong way around.
Yeah.
So, but she's walking the way her feet are pointing, so her back's going forward.
Yeah, it's creepy.
It's really creepy. Lily doesn't know that she's being followed. And she walks around the whole downstairs of this house.
Yeah, into the loop.
This house we've been in for a long time in this film now. And we know for a fact that all of the lights work in this house.
Yeah.
She does not turn on a single light.
No.
And I've written down here in big capital letters, the lights fucking work. Turn them on. Because she's petrified. And we'll find out in a minute how petrified she was. But why would you not turn the lights on?
Yeah.
And I did say this, I said the same thing in the open house, in the very first episode.
This is a horror trope, isn't it?
It is. And it's ludicrous. And it needs to go. She eventually gets back to the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
She turns around.
Yeah.
She sees Polly.
Yeah.
She screams and screams and screams until she's screaming so much that she cannot make any more noise. And I presume we're supposed to think that she dies of fright.
Yeah, well, I would...
That's how I took it. That
I think so.
She was so scared because...
But the ghost didn't... It wasn't like the ghost... Oh, didn't she? I thought she did sort of jump at her.
She came towards her, yeah.
But it wasn't friendly, was it?
No, it wasn't. No, not at all. I'm not saying it was. But it was scary.
Yeah. I just think she did. She kind of... Do
you think
leapt at her and a bit... Maybe. I'd have to watch it. I thought it was aggressive.
Yeah, maybe she was.
And presumably, she's frightened to death.
We know that Lily is a meek and scared lady, and she scares herself to death. She dies in the hallway. In the next scene, a bit of time's passed, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much. Again, I've written it down because what she said in the voiceover, she said, we had a warm winter, it rained in the spring, we had a hot summer, and then it felt like fall would never come, and then it never did.
Yeah.
Because she's dead.
But also, I think time's a bit messed up because there isn't that long that's gone past because the maintenance man comes and knocks on the door.
Yeah, so it's a couple of days.
So it's a couple of days at the most. So we see her lying dead on the floor, but also walking downstairs.
Yeah.
So she walks towards her own dead body.
Yeah.
The man shows up and leaves when nobody answers. The maintenance man guy. Lily's ghost stands at the bottom of the stairs looking over her own dead body, and she hears Iris Blum upstairs shout, "Polly." And so the ghost of Lily goes upstairs and she finds Lily dead on the floor.
No, Polly. No.
Not Polly, Iris.
Miss Blum is dead at the bottom of her bed.
She finds Iris dead at the bottom of her bed on the floor. So they're all dead.
Yeah, you then get a shot of young Miss Plum at a typewriter. Lily just keeps walking around the house.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're all dead.
Yeah, Mr. Waxcap shows up.
I put his name wrong, Joe.
What have you put?
Mr. Scalp Wax.
Where's that come from?
What's his real
Mr.
name?
Scalp Wax come from? Mr. Waxcap. You crazy person.
That's close.
Yeah. He turns up 2 days later because there's an outside shot of the house and it goes light, dark.
Yeah.
So 2 days passes. He shows up. He finds the bodies. He gets the bodies taken away, calls an ambulance, whatever you do.
Yeah, 2 bodies go in body bags.
Yeah.
2 separate body bags.
When you find a body, I presume people know or instantly know. I've never found one, so I don't know. People instantly know what to do. He locks up the house and a family live there eventually.
Yeah.
You get to see a family living in the house.
We see a couple of kids, don't you?
Yeah, you see a couple of kids asleep in the house. And then Lily's still there. Presumably Polly's still there. And Iris's ghost is there as well. And the last thing that is said in the film is Lily says, "The pretty thing you're looking at is me."
Yeah, so just in that last bit, she says in voiceover, "A house can only be borrowed from its ghosts, and you may borrow this house from me."
Yeah.
Which suggests Lily is now also walking around there.
Yeah.
Ad infinitum. And
nice. The Latin.
The kids, one of the kids comes down to get a drink of water, and the other one is still up in bed. I think he saw Polly.
Yeah, I think he did.
You don't actually see Lily sort of jump out or scare anyone. She's, as far as we know, she's just walking around.
Yeah, she's.
And then that's it.
That's the end of that film. What did you think?
I'm still not sure. Parts of it I really liked.
I'm going to say I think it's a missed opportunity because there's a really good story hidden in there, really good, and there's not enough to it. There's not enough explanation to it, and it takes a little bit. It needs more. I need more of it. And
some of it for me is that I didn't really like Lily.
Yeah,
I didn't find her sympathetic.
No, I couldn't. You couldn't sympathise with her,
and I wasn't really rooting for her, and I wasn't that bothered.
Do you think that's because you knew from the beginning that she was going to die, or do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think it's because I think she was not a great character.
Okay.
Personally.
No, I think I'd agree.
And Ruth Wilson was okay. I don't think she was great.
She's trying to be creepy, and the way she talks and the way this character's portrayed is quite a creepy, weird character. But it really felt like something was missing, and I'd like to know more of that story. I don't know. It just felt there's a basis of a good story there, and it isn't.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what was missing, because I'm okay with the ghost only being seen a few times, because I'm fine with the less is more.
I'd like to know more about why her feet were on backwards.
Yeah, because it was just a throwaway line, wasn't it, from Miss Blum?
You turn your back so many times, your feet ended up on backwards. And I don't think there was enough of the history of who Polly was.
No.
Maybe that's what's missing. And
why did that guy kill her?
Well, yeah, and
we didn't know anything.
There's a whole book written about her, and we didn't find out enough about what happened. Maybe that is it. Maybe that's what's missing, is there isn't enough explanation of who Polly was, because Lily takes so fucking long to talk about anything. You didn't have time to talk about who Polly was.
Yeah, I
enjoyed it.
Did I enjoy it?
It's a decent horror film. There's scares in it, there's jump scares in it, and it's creepy and it's atmospheric, and as a horror film it's decent, but it isn't brilliant.
It felt it felt both entertaining and really tough going at the same time.
Yes, I agree with you there. I needed more of it.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed I haven't got more of it.
Is it enough to make you interested in what Oz Perkins does in the future?
Yeah.
You've seen some potential there as a
definitely. If that's only his second film, then he's definitely got potential to make something good. I don't know what his first film's like.
No, me neither.
I don't know anything about it.
I liked the creepiness of it. I didn't particularly care for the characters. I didn't particularly care for the performance of the actresses and the actors. So,
to be fair, there's nobody in it. It's just Lily.
No. But none of that really grabbed me. But essentially, I liked the story. It's a simple haunted house story.
Yeah. It just felt like there should be. There's not enough scares in it.
No.
Like you say, you only see brief flashes of Polly a couple of times.
Yeah.
I think it's more supposed to be like a psychological thriller, maybe a psychological horror film.
Which is fine, but then it doesn't build evenly through it. Literally nothing happens for the first 35 minutes, and it's only an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
And, like I say, you've got 10 minutes of voiceover, then 2 minutes of a phone call before you've even seen any of the house, and then the last... it's just...
It's too slow.
So, and there's something lost in the edit, I think.
I think you're right. It's too slow, and it doesn't leave itself enough time to tell its story. I think that's how I'd describe it.
But I find it difficult to explain because I didn't not enjoy it.
Yeah. It's too slow, but it's decent.
Yeah, so I'm going to struggle where to put this, I think.
Me too. I was just looking. So we've got the stream table out. We're going to try and get it in the stream table. It's the 19th film to go onto the stream table. You made me go first last week, so I'm going to make you go first this week.
That's fine. I think it's not very far away from where we were last week.
Yeah.
It's in the middle pack. And I'm looking at Bottom of the World and The Cured, and where is it around those?
Me and you are so connected because it's exactly the two films I was just looking at as well. So,
and I'm trying to think which one did I enjoy more out of those three.
So Bottom of the World is the creepy, dreamy film.
So that's a bit weird, like this.
Yeah. The Cured is the Irish zombie film,
which is a bit of a horror thing, like this.
Yeah.
So that they're a bit like apples and apples, comparison wise.
Yeah. Do you think it goes in between the two of them? Do you think the I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House is worse? Is better than The Cured?
Yeah.
I agree. Do you think it's better than Bottom of the World? That's the question, isn't it? Because
I think I enjoyed Bottom of the World more.
It's really close, that one.
Yeah.
That is probably the closest battle we've had because. I think you're right. I think it goes between Bottom of the World and The Cured. So
yeah,
Bottom of the World's currently 10th, so it would go into 11th.
Okay.
You happy with that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think I am. I think Bottom of the World's probably got more. There's a good story to Bottom of the World, and it tells its story quite well.
Its weirdness
it's weird.
Gives it a bit of a boost, I think.
Yeah, but the more I think about The Cured since I've watched it, the worse it's getting in my head.
Right, okay.
So
I don't know, I've really thought about it.
I haven't either. I've just seen it there and I thought, no, I don't.
You think, although it's only a place between them, that there's quite a big gap in the table there.
Definitely, because then you get to the package and await further instructions. There's a gap there now between Bottom of the World and The Cured. Because we had one a bit further up a while back, which we've filled in a little bit. I'm going there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Between Bottom of the World and The Cured. So
I'm a bit disappointed because when this came out last week and we watched the trailer,
it looks good.
I thought we'd be up for something
proper ghost story.
So, horror.
You said last week that
get our teeth into.
Yeah, you said last week that I really like horror films, and I do. But ghost stories freak me out.
Yeah,
I don't watch a lot of ghost stories because, especially on my own, I live on my own, and ghost stories scare me. I'm not gonna lie. And the older I get, the more scared I get.
Did you watch this with the lights off?
I watched this with the lights on because I was making notes whilst I was writing.
Oh yeah, there is that whole making notes thing. Yeah.
So
I can't believe you've not learned to write in the dark yet.
I want to get one of those light up pens. So I was a bit apprehensive about watching this because I am a bit. As I get older, I get more scared. If I go for horror films, I would go for something a bit more like gory, rather than monstery.
Yeah,
but ghost stories freak me out, and this didn't freak me out. Yeah. When I watched it, it was like, oh, fair enough. I went to sleep that night with no issues.
Yeah,
that's probably what I can say. So yeah, so it's going in at number 11 on the stream table. Yeah, happy with that?
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fair.
Me too. Do you want to pick next week's film?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, I've got the app open. I'm going to make the noise now. Wish Upon.
Okay.
Any ever heard of it?
No idea.
Do you think you put it on the list, or do you think I did?
I'm not sure. I can't. I mean, it feels like there's only half a title, to be honest.
That's true.
Wish upon what?
Okay, Wish Upon is a 2017 film that is described by IMDb as a drama fantasy horror film. It is a 15, and do you want to know the synopsis?
Yep.
A teenage girl discovers a box that carries magic powers and a deadly price for using them.
Okay.
Okay. It stars Joey King and Ryan Felipe.
Ryan Felipe. I've not heard that name for a long time.
That's a long time. And there's another person in this film who has appeared before on Bottom of the Stream.
A repeater. And it is Shannon Purser. Wow.
So, for those of you that don't know, Shannon Purser is Sierra Burgess, who sits rock bottom at the bottom of the stream, where it completely deserves to be. We've talked about Sierra Burgess a lot. Is that our first repeat actor?
Off the top of my head,
I think
I'd have to go and have a proper look, but I think so.
So let's see if she can redeem herself, maybe.
Look, I'm just going to say it once more. She was pretty good in Sierra Burgess. It was a good performance.
Yeah, she was.
And obviously, she's most famous for being Barb in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, let's see.
Do you want to watch the
if
trailer?
she can get an entry that's a bit higher up the list.
Imagine if she was at the top and the bottom.
That'd be brilliant.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Do you want to watch the trailer?
Yeah.
Hey, Carl, look at this.
7 wishes.
I'm trying to drive here!
I wish Darcy Chapman would just, like, go rot. It's given me everything. Money, love.
At what cost? You have to get rid of it.
Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine.
Blimey.
Looks intense.
It does look intense. It looks...
Teen horror.
Teen horror. That's how you're going to describe it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so go away and watch Wish Upon. And that will be episode 20. 20 excellent. In. Okay, so go away, watch that. Come back next week and we'll talk about Wish Upon.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.